Hey, friends. So life is so interesting. I had two meetings today that were scheduled that the people did not come. And I was also experiencing some I wish that I could make some more videos today. I have this long list of videos that I've been meaning to make. And so everything just works out. It's very fascinating. Um, Anyways, I'm glad to be with you all. I wanted to talk today about something that people often experience as they move through the SSP, which I don't talk a ton about on the channel because not everybody knows about it or is doing it with me, or has access to it. But in my non-YouTube life, I meet with people one-on-one and I do this listening program called the Safe and Sound Protocol. I'll put some information in the description about it. It's a pretty cool modality that supports the nervous system and increasing in flexibility and resilience and increasing in social communication and social engagement and decreasing in auditory sensitivities. So through the process of working with this listening program, we also work on understanding and respecting and responding to our nervous systems in the day-to-day through incorporating the daily three, which I just recently made another video about. So I'll put that in the description too. And uh, responding in real time to defense states so that we can support our nervous system in coming back to our executive functioning so that we can then get the information that the nervous system is sending and understand it through self-inquiry. So as people experience both the listening program and the increase in their respectful communication with their nervous system, they often come into this. Well, first, they'll often go into more of like an agitated, irritated state as their nervous system rises um, up from what's called dorsal or like a freeze into the sympathetic, which is more like a fight flight. And then as they get to ventral, there can be this weird experience, like disorienting experience of um, the what some people almost feel is boredom, or someone described it yesterday as malaise. Um, and it can feel a little bit like apathy, like there's just like nothing even matters. Like now that we're not experiencing everything as a threat, it can start to feel like, nothing's exciting. And what's interesting about this is it helps to highlight how we can be living in chronic states of like flushing stress hormones through our bodies to such an extent that we become addicted to those stress hormones. So I found a article that talks through this that I'm also going to link. And it is about how we actually can become addicted to the stress hormones, and that both with when we have a stressful situation, cortisol comes through, but also dopamine, surges of dopamine and cortisol. So this can cause us to repeat the stressful situation because it almost feels like happy to be stressed, because we're getting both the cortisol and the dopamine. And they said often people who have like this addiction to stress have grown up in households where the stress levels were just like chronically high. This is sometimes called complex PTSD, right? So it's not like you experience just one bomb going off one day and you have post-traumatic stress disorder from it. It's like bombs were going off at like sort of a low level all of the time. And so your nervous system literally gets like a set point um, in your parents' like womb. Like the nervous system develops during your parents' pregnancy. And if that person was very stressed or living in a very stressful environment, and then you continue in this entire childhood of living in always chaos, always stress, always fight, flight, freeze, then your stress levels will feel like um, that will feel normal. It will feel familiar. And as so many of us know, familiar, even if it's bad, is often preferable to our bodies, because change in an evolutionary way is very threatening. So animals like predictable things, right? Because you learn what's safe and what will keep you alive, and then you stick to it. And so that's why change can be so difficult. So, for those of us who have had like our whole lives just surges of cortisol and dopamine and adrenaline, from being in fight, flight, or freeze, when we get a break from that through learning to understand and support our nervous system, it can feel like, what's going on? You think about like if you went to the movies and there was a movie for an hour and a half about someone sitting on the beach with someone who was really nice to them and supportive and just loved them and adored them and brought them chips and guacamole and lemonade all day, we would not go see that movie. We would probably walk out of that movie. We'd be like, what is this about? What is happening? Right? But if there's a movie where everything is exploding and everyone's being cruel to each other and everyone's getting their heart broken nonstop, we're like, that movie was amazing. I loved it so much. Right? So it can feel boring to take good care of ourselves and feel like we have the capacity to do what we need to do. And this can make people sort of feel like, am I depressed? Like, where's the high, right? Where's the excitement? And this, being okay, and not feeling like really upset or really excited, can feel like a little bit of a bummer. So, something that we can do to support ourselves, with that experience is to start to explore like what is meaningful for us versus what is like, um, you know, stimulating. So, a lot of us, when we've spent our whole life in these high stress, chronic stress states, we haven't been able to connect a lot with like inspiration or meaning because we've been in such survival. So we're just like getting through it. And a lot of our relationships have the connection based on our shared experience of survival. So for me, that was huge. Like all of my friends, like I would talk to them all the time about like how difficult it was to be a single parent, or how difficult it was to not have enough money to pay rent, or how difficult it was to work a job that didn't feel aligned and where I was mistreated, and how difficult it was to, you know, be treated poorly by a landlord. And now that I've changed and I'm not in those environments, like now I don't have a landlord. Now I have a job that I really love, and that is, I make my own schedule and I feel super aligned. And I have, I don't have millions of dollars, but I have the money to pay my bills. And I don't feel like I'm being mistreated. Um, I can find myself like coming up with ways to frame my really good, solid life as if I'm still being mistreated, or even craving to tell the story in such a way that I'm being mistreated, because I want that connection with other people and I want those stress chemicals, which is so fascinating. So, moving out of survival, there's a period of like disorientation, a little bit of boredom. There can also be like a ton of fatigue. People find themselves sleeping more and feeling a little like lethargic, resting a lot. And this can sometimes be because there's been a buildup of like chronic fatigue that hasn't been responded to. And because we're in the present moment more often, we're going to see that we might actually be a person who needs more rest than we previously thought. We might need more food than we previously thought. Some people end up eating more. Um, we might need just more downtime than we previously thought because we're actually not overriding our nervous system anymore. And so there can be this period of sort of like the boredom where we're resting a ton and nothing is super exciting and we can feel kind of like, what is this? It makes me think of the ennui character in Inside Out. Um, and that can last for a little while. And then what can sometimes happen after that period is some inspiration can start open up because you build back the reserves and the resourcing of your nervous system to such a way that you're going to spend less time in that defense state and more time in that executive functioning. And as your nervous system begins to believe that this is going to stay steady and it recovers with some of that extra rest and extra food and extra whatever, it starts to trust you again. It may start to go into imagination and inspiration and into some what previously could have been called risk taking, but now is more of a like going forward with some faith in life, right? So, um, like for me, it was being willing to take that leave of absence from my steady job in order to start my own business. And I was able to do that because I knew, like, I had built in my nervous system the knowing that I could go back to another job if I needed to, that I had some savings, that I had, that time period to just be on leave to try it out. So I was able to do it in a way that didn't feel like survival. It felt like pretty steady and supported. And so you can have these inspirations and these like maybe risky or like more challenging behaviors um, that come from a more supported place. And you can start to live into more meaning based experiences rather than survival based experiences. So, like my previous job was because the only job I could get and I had to have money as a single parent, blah, blah, blah. My current job is something I've created myself, something that's deeply aligned, something that I want to do, even if I don't like on vacation, I missed it, things like that. And you can start to create through this inspiration and imagination, spend more time inspired, waking up, like for me, thinking of ideas for videos or ideas for art projects that I want to do that are because it sounds fun and not because it sounds like survival. And this for me is more what Bashar is talking about when he uses the word excitement. For me, it's excitement sounds like a kind of a frenetic nervous system state, which doesn't feel right for me. And a lot of people feel like excitement sounds hard or uncomfortable, or that they've never connected with it. Um, and so I like to use the word inspired instead of excited. So as you get to know and respect and support your nervous system, after you go through the period of feeling a little bored and a little disoriented and a little like, is everything fine? Why is everything fine? That's weird. And a little tired and a little extra um, uh, rest and sleep. Then you will likely start to have more inspiration come online. And inspired action can be hard work, but it doesn't feel like scary hard work. Um, and that is a beautiful place that this sort of process can take you to. So I just wanted to share that for anyone who's in that place of boredom and feeling a little confused and is like, is this what it ends up being? Um, Not necessarily. I think that boredom becomes safer with practice. Many of us were not allowed to rest and be bored. So we can give our nervous system the opportunity to find out that it's okay to just be bored and to pass time um, without drama. Um, and and into that boredom can start to come some inspiration that's going to have a different quality, that's going to have a sturdiness to it, and that's not going to wreak havoc on our nervous system in the same way that some of the survival based um, action did previously. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. I love you all so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.